Hi, I'm Tara Darby. Welcome to Business Matters, a show that promotes local businesses here in El Segundo. As you know, this city is home to the Lakers, LAX, and a long list of Fortune 500 companies. And now we have our first and only brewery. Claudia Rusty reports.
The city's first and only brewery has finally arrived. Let me introduce you to the El Segundo Brewing Company. The El Segundo Brewing Company is the latest attraction on Main Street, and brewmaster owner Rob Croxall says it was a long time coming.
I've always been a big fan of beer, and then I just had the idea of opening a brew pub. At one time I even read a book about it in college. Thought, I've been thinking about it the whole time. I came into a homebrew kit just by chance. One of my friends gave it to me and went home and made beer, that first day. And it was probably terrible, but I thought it was great. And it was pretty much all history from there.
The plan to open up a brewery was always in the back of Rob's mind, but a change of fate is what brought it to the forefront.
It just so happens that where I was working in the aerospace company, Northrop, at the time, they had a voluntary layoff in November, so I took it and went to beer school up at Davis.
Where Rob enrolled in the Professional Brewers program, which helped him master the brewing process.
There's three major ingredients, or four. You have your water, of course, your malt, which is malted barley, hops, and yeast. So you start by milling your grain, cracking it, and then you end up putting it in one of the tanks with water at a certain temperature to activate certain enzymes to convert starches to sugars. You drain that to the kettle, do your boil in the kettle, add your hops in there or whatever else you might want to add, and then transfer from the kettle into the fermenters and ferment for a couple weeks in the fermenters, and then transfer to another tank where you do your carbonation. After carbonation is when you keg, and that's the process in a nutshell.
With a couple of recipe secrets here and there to make Rob's beer, the Blue House Ale, a beer with a unique taste and a unique name.
It started out, I was a home brewer, and my wife, we used to give Christmas beers to our friends. So my wife designed a logo for us, just put on my homebrew Christmas beers, and called it Blue House Brewing, because we live in a blue house. So that kind of just stuck.
It not only stuck, but it struck gold. Today, Rob's Blue House Ale is on tap at some of the most respected bars in LA.
Rock and Brews, Richmond, the Standard Station in El Segundo.
But his biggest account is Rock and Brews, directly across the street from the brewing company.
Rock and Brews is our first customer, and they are by far our best account. They move a lot of our beer, and I'm just really, thrilled personally that the place is in town, because being a beer geek, they put on just a fantastic program. So having something like that in town is great.
Right now they're doing a pale ale and an IPA. The pale ale is a hoppy pale ale. Very good, very smooth, very drinkable. We average quite a bit a week. It's jumped right up to one of our top selling beers.
They have a world-class selection of handles over there, and we're included in them. So it makes us look good just by the company that we're in.
Rob's success has not only been a result of his secret beer recipe or his hard work, but also his timing.
Impeccable. His timing on this could not be any more perfect. Our beer has already exploded in San Diego, and what I'm seeing here is exactly what I saw in San Diego about 7 years ago. Breweries popping up, more and more drinkers of the craft beers, and it's exponentially growing every day.
And Rob's fresh and hoppy beer is only accelerating that growth.
Luckily for us, he's literally taken it right off the fermenter, put it in a keg, and wheeled it across the street, so it doesn't get any fresher.
Though not a beer lover, all this beer talk was making me thirsty. But before giving the Blue House a try, I had to warn Rob that I was a novice and a bit clueless. I've only had beer once. It was in Spain. It was a Guinness, and I was trying to win a hat on St. Patrick's Day. So it wasn't a very pretty experience, I have to say. So ever since, I'm kind of afraid of beer. So what are some tips that you could give me so that I can get on board?
I think the most important thing would be to be open-minded and not judge a book by its cover. You probably want to start by giving it a good sniff, pick up the aroma. That's probably the first thing, and that's usually a reasonable indicator of what the flavor is going to be, but it's not always right on. So get a good sample of the aroma, take a look at it, check the clarity, and then take a good sip of it and pay attention the whole time. How intense is the bitterness in the finish? How long does it last? There's a whole bunch of different things to pay attention to.
I'm a little nervous, I have to say.
I wouldn't be nervous. It's still all about having fun and just finding what you enjoy.
All right, so moment of truth. This was definitely smooth.
Well, good.
Definitely
That's
smooth.
what I was going
good.
for. So I'm hoping that people who aren't beer geeks will appreciate this beer because it's not too far a leap from something that they probably had before. But I think that it's still interesting enough for the beer geeks because of the varieties of hops that I use.
As for the future of the El Segundo Brewing Company,
our plan is to have the tap room, which is just adjacent to the brewery, where people should be able to come on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, evening, afternoon kind of, and try our beer that we brew here. I think we're going to be the only tasting room in LA County at a brewery, so it's kind of unique in that sense.
and likely a huge success.
He's a respectable guy. He's making respectable beer.
We're going to fill a niche in LA that isn't really being addressed yet, and we're going to be relatively unique, for the types of beers that we're offering.
And in the end, it will all be thanks to a change of fate that helped a local finance guy turn his love for beer into a dream career.
I want to keep making some decent, some good beer that people can enjoy.
For El Segundo TV, I'm Claudia Aresti.